Finally, we're able to watch Spider-Man No Way Home at home. Feels like forever. I remember when people were frustrated that we didn't get any trailers or any promotional stuff, and people just didn't know as to what the heck was going on. And the thing is that it wasn't supposed to be released digitally until March 22nd, as you can see in the ad in the front here. But because the film has already leaked out, we'll be getting it on the 15th, which is today. Before I start on my issues with Spider-Man No Way Home, please understand that I absolutely love this film, and I consider it to be one of the best superhero films of all time. But just like any other films, there are some issues that people had with this movie, and I do want to talk about them. One of the biggest plot holes from the film is how in the hell did Jamie Foxx's version of Electro end up being part of the villains that was brought to the MCU when he clearly never knew or figured out that Peter Parker was Spider-Man? According to Doctor Strange, the spell pulled in every villain that was aware that Peter Parker's Spider-Man. So it's really confusing. And it's something that everybody was talking about when the film came out. And the character was on the verge of dying in The Amazing Spider-Man 2, as he explained, before he got pulled out, and he never figured out that Peter Parker was Spider-Man. I mean, they even proved it with the conversation that Max and Peter had towards the end of the film, where he thought that he was going to be black because he was from Queens and he liked helping people. And it's funny because he was the only Spider-Man villain that never figured out or found out that Peter Parker is Spider-Man. Don't get me wrong, I love Electro. He's one of my favorite Spider-Man movie villains, and I love that he returned, but it would have made more sense, and I know I'm going to get a lot of shit for this one, that Topher Grace's version of Venom showed up, because he's one of the villains that actually knew that Peter Parker is Spider-Man. Yeah, and I'm sure the reasons as to why they decided against that is because both studios agreed that people weren't exactly too fond of that character. But, just remember and, don't forget that people weren't exactly feeling of Jamie Foxx's version of Electro either, and showed that the villain can be vindicated. Or in this case, redeemed. And just in case everyone seemed to forget, because now that Andrew has returned in No Way Home, prior to that, people despised The Amazing Spider-Man 2. And when rumors hit that Andrew might be returning, there were tons of haters saying that it was a very bad fucking idea, and they were not interested, and they will not watch this film if he's in it. Guess what? Now that he's in it, those same people are changing their fucking tune and fully praising Andrew, and guess what? The Amazing Spider-Man 2. What the fuck? I thought that was like the worst Spider-Man movie ever made. Apparently not. After he came back for, Spider-Man No Way Home, people are starting to love it and rewatch it again. I don't know. You just gotta love those fickle fans. It just really doesn't make any sense. And look, I've always loved Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man. And he's one of my favorite actors to play the character, as well as the first two films. I was not one of those MCU apologists that never gave the franchise a chance because they were too busy whining like fucking pussies about wanting Spidey in the MCU. We want him. I always tell it like it is, whether it's in the MCU or not. I don't give a fuck. If it's a good movie or not, I'll let you know. I'm not going to be like, well, it's an MCU movie, so I can't say that it's bad because otherwise everybody's going to start attacking me. Fuck them. I don't give a shit. I just hate people that are like that. And look, they could have had the Sinister Six, but I guess since Sony's interested in doing a Sinister Six film, they toned it down to just 5 just to give a taste as to what's to come for fans in the future. Stupid idea. They should have just given us the Sinister Six. Another thing that really pissed me off is how John Watts managed to give the shaft once again to Uncle Ben by giving his line to Aunt fucking May. Look, if Aunt May stated, always remember on when your uncle told you that with great power must come great responsibility, that would have been forgivable. But, I mean, they shafted the fucking character in the previous 2 films by having only one nod to his character from a fucking suitcase with his initials on it. No mention of the character. And yet everyone seems to forget that it was Uncle Ben that motivated Peter Parker to become Spider-Man, not fucking Tony Stark. But they shit on that one. And one major thing that really made no sense is how towards the end of the film, Peter finally makes his own costume that resembles more of his iconic classic costume. Yet couldn't they fucking do that to begin with? Instead of relying on Stark tech for so many years? Why is this important to mention? It's because when I made the argument for the longest time that the previous two Spider-Mans found ways to create their own costumes, yet Tom Holland's version couldn't, the defense coming from these MCU apologists was that he was too poor, or probably didn't know how to sew on his own. Look, you can get a cheap fucking costume from the internet, or you could do what cosplayers do. You know, they could come up with amazing detailing for these costumes on their own, okay? Just like he fucking did in the movie. Did it really have to take this fucking long to get over the shadow of Tony Stark and Stark Tech to become his own character instead of Iron Boy Jr.? It's actually funny because if you actually pay attention in the movie, it actually says something about Iron Boy Jr. in one of the magazines from the Daily Beagle. You know, and it's just ridiculous that, you know, look, the only Stark Tech suit that Peter should have had was when he was in the Iron Spider suit, and that's it. That's the only time in the comics where he actually had a costume come from Tony Stark. Now look, Peter's a very smart guy, and both the previous Spider-Mans were at the same age that he was when they first started out. Although he was the youngest actor out of the other two. That is a fucking difference. I even heard that excuse that, you know, he was younger than both Tobey and Andrew's version, yet they were the same age in high school. Come on, give me a fucking break. I mean, where's your brains? Speaking of intelligence, this version of Peter Parker seems to be the dumbest smart version out of all of them. I mean, always being confused all the fucking time, extremely gullible and trusting, and instead of learning from his mistakes, he just seems to be making all new ones again. The fuck? Fucking dumbass. I mean, yeah, I know he's the youngest out of all of them, blah, 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 because I'm going to hear until the end of it. But for fuck's sake, he's out of high school and going into college, and he's still like this? Come on. I just really hope that for future Spider-Man films, they work on those issues and make a serious change in tone for his character, especially with everything that he just went through, which sucks. That's one of the things that, you know, I feel bad for this character is that out of the previous two Spider-Mans, this guy's... not only did he lose Uncle Ben and Aunt May, but he pretty much lost everyone close to him. It's like as if he doesn't exist. So that's really fucked up. That was a fucked up ending. And look, I love the Willem Dafoe's version of Green Goblin that was 10 times more menacing than he was from the first film. The costume looked really sick. I actually liked it with the, you know, the green and purple thing going on. But it was also the perfect opportunity for him to sport a new mask that was more lifelike, not like the one that he had before. And it could have also showed his creepy facial features, which is the best part of the film, which showed on how psychotic the Goblin really is. But still, they had the perfect opportunity to fix that, and they just didn't. It's kind of a bummer. And I also wish that he had, you know, more of a moment with Tobey Maguire's version of Spider-Man, other than being stabbed in the back and that was it. Sort of like how Tobey had that moment with Dr. Octopus, which is actually pretty great. Look, I don't really have that much to complain about because I really love this film. I'm just pretty much going over as to what other people have complained about as well, that I agree that was a problem in this film. Yet it just goes to show that there's always going to be issues with any films, even if you do love them. I mean, I could say the same thing about, you know, The Dark Knight or Avengers Endgame, Avengers Infinity War, you know, but I'm not going to, it's not what I'm going to talk about right now, you know, I'm just making an example that, you know, sometimes we love these films, but then we just go, they should have done this, they should have done that, you know, but I really do love how the film went, you know, what the results were and the decisions that they made, although I wish there was some tweaking involved or, you know, like I said, there could have been deleted scenes, you know. Never know. And I do want to go over some new updates for my fan supporters. You know, it's only for my fan supporters only. So if you want to know, then join the fan support. Other than that, I hope you guys enjoy this film and watch it over and over again. And there's a lot of fun stuff in the special features from what I heard. So we'll find out. I still haven't gotten a chance to even like watch it or anything. I'm gonna do that maybe tomorrow. See what happens. Anyway, see you guys later.
Face it, Tiger, you just hit the jackpot.